Making some sort of progress.
Well, it's not very good, is it, really? I mean, the idea that we get some emergency break on whether we can give migrants benefits, and to put that in place, we have to ask 27 other European leaders to agree, strikes me as being a pretty pathetic, rather anemic place from which we go off to the European summit. But the bigger problem is that the Prime Minister is being utterly disingenuous when he says that migrants come to Britain for benefits. They don't. Migrants come to Britain because the minimum wage in Britain is 9 times that of Romania. And given that between now and the end of this Parliament, there is the proposal for a massive increase of a minimum wage to a living wage, even if he succeeded in removing some of those benefits, the pull factors will be as great as they ever were.
Do you think then that this is all artifice and is wasting time, if you like, before the British public and British politicians get to engage in the more fundamental debate of shall we stay in or shall we leave?
Well, it's theatrics. It's an attempt to frame the debate about our relationship with the European Union on the very specific issue of migrant benefits. Yeah, sure, there are clauses about ever closer union, but I mean, nobody really takes any of that seriously. What he's not addressing is the fundamental question that if you own a British passport, the first 2 words on it are European Union, and that passport is held by nearly 500 million other people. And when we saw those 1,000 young men outside Cologne station on New Year's Eve, openly, in view, molesting, sexually assaulting women, what we need to understand is within a few short years, they will have German passports and all be able to come to Britain. And the Prime Minister is not even attempting to deal with that. He's fiddling around the edges, begging for concessions that we may get on granting migrant benefits. And given the first offering that he's had from Mr. Juncker, he will now go to the European Summit in February and resemble the boy from Oliver, who walks up to the front of the room, holding out the begging bowl and saying, "Please, sir, can we have more concessions?" It is pathetic, and it doesn't deal with the main issues.
If we can just separate out the should we leave EU referendum, and of course we don't have a timing on that just yet, but on this whole question which has been in the news all this week about migrants, and it's difficult, I know, to try and work out who is a migrant and who isn't. Do you think the UK is being as generous as it could be or should be?
Well, last year, 640,000 migrants came to Britain, and even allowing for those that left, net migration into Britain last year ran at 1,000 people every single day. And here we are having a debate about 3,000 children. Frankly, those numbers are irrelevant compared to the open door policy that is being pursued at the moment. And I would say this, any normal human being would sympathise with children in great difficulty, but there is a very real fundamental problem. If we say yes to children who are presumably orphaned, coming in from Greece or from Italy, all we do with a few more months of bad weather to come, is to encourage more people to make that crossing, and that means more people drowning. And I honestly, truthfully think that what we ought to do is say, look, we, above all the other European countries, are paying more money into Syria and elsewhere, and we ought to be careful of our compassion over children actually allowing us to encourage more people to make that dangerous journey. We shouldn't take anybody into Britain as a refugee from this crisis who has already crossed the Mediterranean.
Nigel.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.